in this episode.
With my roommate, Brendan.
Yeah.
Remember him? Yep.
Interesting fact.
Yeah.
I had poop problems as a kid. Brendan's hot girlfriend ended up being the nurse to my poop doctor. Rather embarrassing.
In an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by another edition of the Live, Laugh, LARP podcast. I really do appreciate everybody's support. We are seeing the podcast grow each and every episode, and it's all because of you guys. We sincerely appreciate it. Kind of doing it solo this time. Co-host Jefe is not going to be able to join me on this episode, but we do have still a guest, bit of a family affair. We'll get to that here in just a second, but before we get to all of that, the administrative portion of this podcast is first talking about all the different platforms that we're on. Obviously, we are going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's another platform called Podchaser, but if you're not interested in supporting those, you can always find us on YouTube and even the Firearms Radio Network. We really do appreciate them bringing us on board, and that is pretty awesome. In addition to that, we have a title sponsor for the podcast, which is Atero Arms. They are your premier optics mounting solution for AKs. I think not only do they have an awesome product, but they also have probably one of the more budget-friendly options as well. So definitely check out Atero Arms for your mounting solutions. Hopefully we can get a J-frame mount for Jefe so he can stop complaining about it. But if he does, he'll just find another reason to complain. So there is that. Don't have a comment of the episode this time around. So if you guys are interested in being featured on the podcast, you're more than welcome to send us an email, comment on the podcast itself, or just get in contact with us, maybe through Instagram or whatever the case may be. And yeah, we'll read your comment on the air. So there is that. Okay, so let's jump into this episode. This time, we're going to have a guest that is, how should I say, really close to me, I guess, is I guess this is the best way to say it.
Some might call me Mark Jr.
No, they wouldn't call you Mark Jr. Because you have your own name. What's your name, guest?
My name is Jaden Grimsley.
Yeah,
you might be familiar with the last name.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many people actually know my last name, but there you go. This is my son. I have I have two kids. One is obviously on the other side of this microphone. He is 26 years old, and then I also have baby girl who has been in some of my videos as well. So you might hear her in the background. We definitely have the dogs running around all over the place. So you'll hear some jingling and whining and fussing and all that type of stuff because the fur babies are a little anxious. Fort Riley is doing a lot of, I don't know, it must be artillery gunnery or something like that. But all that being said, I wanted to bring on the boy to talk about basically a number of different things, like what was it like to grow up around me, I guess, kind of grow up around firearms in general, what your experience have been, let you kind of ask questions as well as far as things that you wanted to hash out. We'll just consider this a big long therapy session, I guess.
Rock on. I need it.
But realistically, Jaden asked to be on the podcast because you're aspiring maybe to start your own.
Yeah, I've been loving, just the basics. Joe Rogan, those long form podcasts. Jordan Peterson, been a little philosophical, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's been really enjoyable, and a lot of comedy podcasts have.
Which ones have you been listening to comedy?
Well. Andrew Santino, he's got a good one. Mm-hmm. Whiskey Ginger.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then his buddy that a lot of people been hearing about. They do a podcast together called Bad Friends.
Okay.
With oh goodness gracious, I'm so bad with names.
So I get it. I'm the same there. I'm right there with you.
So bad with names.
What about, have you ever listened to Your Mom's House?
Yeah, is that with the what is that Tom or Bert?
Yeah,
What,
Tom.
yeah, okay, there
Tom
we go.
Segoya and
Yeah,
his
yeah,
wife.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. Oh
I li-
man, it's so hilarious.
I like Tom more than Bert. Tom's
Yeah.
he's a little bit more dry, and I love that. I love that. A little darker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely a big fan of dark humor.
Yeah.
So at this point,
awesome.
at this point in life, you kind of have to be. But let me just ask a few questions to kind of get you a little comfortable with how the podcast format's going to work out, and just kind of ease you into talking on the mic and everything. What do you remember? What's your first memory as far as like going out and shooting? Do you remember?
Well, the first thing that comes to my head is when I had the long blonde Justin Bieber hair,
Yep.
and shooting the AR-15 for the first time. But I know that wasn't the first time.
No.
I know one of the first times was probably with Grandpa.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was all three of us
with the revolver.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I was just telling Coriana that yesterday, I think, and that you were so small. I mean, you were not small. You were like 8 years old, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
But you were pretty skinny and short, and you had to rest the revolver on the shooting bay, like table.
It's coming back. Yeah, I do remember that.
Because it was a Taurus Model 66 357, and so you would rest the pistol or the revolver on the table there, and then pull the hammer back and shoot. So and then every once in a while I would sneak in you would shoot 38 special, which wasn't too bad. You did a pretty good job, but every once in a while I would sneak in a 357 Magnum shell into the cylinder.
Yeah.
And so you just be shooting along, and then bow.
Oh my goodness. See, something that just popped in my head was I'd start to get comfortable, and then especially with the AR, if you don't keep it in that pocket in your shoulder, it'll give you a little bruise.
It'll turn
there.
you just a little
bit.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it was just me getting too comfortable, but it was actually you playing games.
It was me playing games. That's how I do it. I always play games.
Oh my goodness.
But at the same time, one of the things that I was trying to teach you was it may have been a little bit backwards, and to be frankly honest with you, we've talked about this before, but when you were young and I was young, because we're talking 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, I was a completely different person. I was a jerk. I was an asshole. And that was kind of in my head, something that was funny, but it was kind of a dick move. But at the same time, kind of looking back at it, it actually was one of those things that might have helped you a little bit not be afraid, because you're shooting, you're getting comfortable, and then something goes a little bit more sideways than what you're used to.
But I survived.
Exactly. Right. So, and I don't think that it was that big of a deal, but anyhow, so yeah, there was that. There's those things. The AR is that's your AR. So I have it in the safe back over there behind door number 1. So whenever you're ready, I'm more than happy to hand it off. I'm more than willing to hand off the yeet cannon, because if you remember, it has the yeet cannon.
Yeah.
So I had held on to it for all these many years because This was a for those of you listening out there. This is a AR-15 that I built for Jaden on his for his 21st birthday gift. So 5 years ago, and that was about the same time that the whole yeet cannon craze was going on, right? And Aero Precision, which is one of my favorite manufacturers, was coming out with AR lowers that had yeet cannon on it. And there's a whole backstory to all that as well. But so I went ahead and built an AR-15 for Jaden's birthday and gifted to him. I don't think it was actually on your birthday, but it was right there. We met
close enough.
Yeah, we met in Wichita, went to the range, let you shoot it.
Yeah.
I've held on to it because of all of the shenanigans going on with the brace rules and stuff like that. But that's pretty much done at this point, so I feel comfortable that I can kind of hand it off to you.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So you're more than welcome to take it with you at any point in time.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
So there's that portion of it. You were pretty sporty growing up. You played a lot of soccer. Donnie's in the background snoring up because he has no nose. But so if you guys hear some rattling in the background, that's the French bulldog just snoring up.
If it happens in Joe Rogan episodes, which I know it does, he talks about his dog in there all the time. Then I mean, it's okay here.
Yeah,
I mean that's the pinnacle, right?
So what was your favorite sport playing while you were growing up?
I only played soccer, really. I always enjoyed watching football. I had an interesting encounter in middle school when I was trying to sign up for the football team, and I did. I suited up for a couple weeks, and I was doing practice. And one day, they were asking if anybody wanted to kick or to punt, and they picked the kickers and punchers by the kids that raised their hand first, and I didn't raise my hand first, and that's what I wanted to do was kick or punt. So then I left. So that was
I didn't know that story.
That was my football career.
I could have swore I thought it was that you didn't want to memorize the plays. You thought that it was too much work.
Well, I did do a little bit of flag football, and so that did introduce me into learning different plays and stuff like that. But I was pretty young, so I wasn't super into football like I am now. I love fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football, all that jazz, and I watch every Chiefs game. So
a lot of hate going on with the Chiefs.
I mean, 4-0 speaks for itself.
Well, a lot of people are like, well, the refs have won those games.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the hate on that?
They win every game. They win every.
The refs win every game.
Yeah, there's terrible calls every game. They just, I mean, they makeshift the game, in ways that, maybe benefit the Chiefs. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's missed calls every single play. There's a holding call every single play. So it is what it is.
I've reverted back to the idea of bread and circuses. So
he don't like bread and circuses.
No, he doesn't. That was again the Frenchie freaking hacking something up. Jesus. But no, freaking so football is such a fun sport. I grew up on it. I played 7 years, 3 years in middle school, 3 years in high school. I missed out my junior year, and football has been a big part of my life. But I'm at the point now that I just can't really enjoy watching the NFL anymore because of all of the other shenanigans that they're dipping their hands into.
A lot of drama.
College football is getting to that point now with the NIL. Is that what it is?
Yep.
NIL. And it goes outside of football as well. Here our team is the Kansas State University, and I
Go
don't know.
Cats!
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but they're paying a kid $2 million to come and play for Wichita State or Kansas State for one season.
For what was that? Dylan Edwards?
It's a basketball dude. I don't know who it is.
Basketball, dude.
Yeah, they're paying
Interesting.
some kid $2 million to come play basketball for 1 year for K State. Yeah, and I'm just like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, yep, well, I'm done.
That better not be coming from the taxpayers.
That's coming purely from the alumni association.
Yeah.
But I've been watching middle school football, and let me tell you, the 8th grade team here with Anthony
Mhm.
Middle School, freaking, they're really good. They're playing they're playing like read option offense, and so they're like basically long snapping every single play. And I'm like,
my
holy
goodness.
cow.
Actual centers in
Yeah.
8th grade.
This is offenses that we would have never dreamed about running in 8th grade. We didn't run an offense like this until I was a senior in high school. So this is what blows my mind, is how advanced these kids are.
That's insane.
And watching 8th grade, watching high school, freaking, Manhattan High,
Mm-hmm.
they've got a great team. They're competitive.
Yeah.
So
now I get why, some of the old heads like high school football so much. It's so genuine.
Yes.
And they just want to be recognized by their people.
Yeah, their community,
and I know you had a guy rooting for you every game, right? Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I think he passed away.
Oh wow!
I don't know, but yeah, there's a dude here's the crazy thing. He came to every game of every sport at Southeast. Yeah. He was at the soccer games. He was at the football games. He was at the freaking wrestling matches.
What?
He was at the gymnastics game, meets.
Oh my goodness.
The track meets. He was at everything. Yeah. I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have showed up to like some of the debates and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah.
But I can remember I came back a couple years after I graduated, and they actually even had him out on the field. And when the football team would score, he would run up and he would ring the big bell.
Oh my
They had like
goodness.
a big Liberty Bell looking thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So, but yeah, growing up, that's Wichita sucked to grow up in because there was nothing to do.
Yeah, it still sucks to live in.
Yeah.
There's still nothing to do.
Oh, what are you talking about? You got a lot of things to do.
Yeah, we could roller skate, go bowling.
You've got a drive-in, right?
We do go to the drive-in.
Yeah, see,
pretty frequently. You got to support the local businesses.
Yeah, you've got you could go see the Thunder play.
That is, yeah. You got a couple points there. Yeah. I do enjoy some hockey, especially local teams is always fun to support. The last time me and my girlfriend Victoria went to Thunder hockey game, one of my best friends since 3rd grade, he was coming up the stairs, right? And you're in there. It's pretty steep. The stairs kind of they kind of creep up on you. They're pretty steep.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking up the stairs and somehow he just slips or trips or something. He falls on his back on the stairs, slides down about, I don't know, 20 rows of stairs, and he's just laughing the whole time. He's just dying of laughter. He's just just you could just, oh my goodness, so much, just one of the best memories.
Yeah.
One of the best memories, and that all came from hockey.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I can tell you that you have a little bit more outlets than what a lot of people well, at least what I had when I was there, growing up,
Count
back
your
in my
blessings.
day,
Yeah. Count your blessings, I
I
guess.
know. We didn't. I mean, we didn't have any of the skate parks. I would have loved to have some
Yeah.
of the skate
Yeah.
parks. We had Fantasy, which was the water park that is where Home Depot is on North Woodlawn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was right there where that YMCA is on
Wow.
Woodlawn and 96. And that was a lot of fun, but it was like $30 to get in, and kids don't have $30 to get in.
No, I mean, back in your day too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, thanks for that. So, but anyway, so yeah, there's us growing up. So I did want to ask, a question. This is a little bit scripted, I guess, but at the same time, what is like the 3 things that I taught you growing up?
Well, politicians are a no. Like, just don't trust every politician
Yeah.
and everything they're saying. Like, they all have their own agendas, of course. I can still hear it ringing in my ears. Taxation is theft. There we go. I can get it out eventually. And then how should I phrase it? The First Amendment continues on because of the Second.
That's right. So that's what
it endures.
Yep. All right. So baby girl wants to get in on this one because she has her 3 things. So go ahead and slide in there.
Hello.
Dur.
Hello.
So what is the 3 things that I taught you?
Okay. The moon landing was faked.
Okay.
Birds aren't real.
Yes.
And the golden rule of guns: if you see a gun, don't touch it. No, you don't touch it. He has failed you as a father.
I have failed you, Anakin.
Not the Star Wars.
So, and that's one of the it's all fun and games, okay, we can have some laughs about that, but at the very least, both of these kids, is something I'm extremely proud about, is that at any point in time when they were growing up, I could leave, if I was cleaning my whatever firearm at the kitchen table, I could walk away from it and know that without a shadow of a doubt, neither one of these kids were going to mess with it, right? Because they knew not to mess with them. Number one. Number two, they knew not to tell any of their friends about it, which is another thing that I'm really happy about, because they never had to worry about any of your friends coming over and just being like, "Oh, let me see your dad's guns," and then
good job, me. I never really did say anything about it. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a great kid.
I'm very
wow.
proud. Yeah. Just don't break your arm patting yourself on the back there, guy.
That's funny.
So, but like I said, some of that was, all fun and games. But to see, to have some of the discussions that we've had, privately, and to listen to the way that you think through things is pretty awesome.
One thing that I've always remembered, and I've always been cautious about, that you hear horror stories about all the time, is trigger discipline.
Mm-hmm.
My finger is never anywhere around the trigger unless I'm shooting at a target.
Yeah, that's good.
That's like one of my main things when I'm gripping a gun. When I first get to touch it, I know exactly where my index finger and my thumb are going to be.
Good. That's good. Rules. Yep. Keep your finger off the trigger. Or it's rule number 2: keep your booger hook off the bang switch. So keep your booger hook off the bang switch.
You've never told it to me like that before.
Well,
that rule number 2 was cardio.
No, rule number 1 is cardio.
Oh man.
Rule number 2 is you don't talk about Fight Club.
Oh my god. So many movies being mixed.
I know, exactly. See, they call that a mashup. So you've been doing a lot of reading lately.
I've been doing some reading, more reading than I usually do.
What have Get a peanut gallery back there going into. But what have you been reading?
Currently, I am on Memories, Dreams, and Reflections by Carl Jung, or spelled Jung, Jung. Yeah, most people do know his name, but I didn't really know his name when I first heard of him. But he's a psychologist. He's renowned for creating or understanding archetypes of humans. Yeah.
Okay. So what drew you to that?
Me and my best friend Chad, he's currently in school to become a archaeologist. And he, basically has a minor in anthropology. He's been going to a lot of different classes about, Christianity, but also about Indian cultures and different cultures like that. And
Feather or dot?
Dot. For, yep. Yeah. No casinos. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, go ahead. You can open it. It's not going to bar anything.
Crack open a cold one for us.
There you go.
Thank you. But it's been a really good book. It's basically his adventures and starting from a child in Germany, growing up, in a Catholic family. He had some interesting views on religion, even though he grew up Catholic. One of the stories that stuck out to me was that he related Christianity to death, actually, because he would see funerals happen in his backyard. And, the late 1800s, a funeral in a backyard, that's probably more common than you think. So, he'd see these black robes, and the priest would be praying over the dead. And that was like his first conception of religion.
Yeah.
And so that kind of shaped his mind in a strange way and got him to think about things differently, and really get down to the right questions and how to process through it. It's been interesting. Is
there something that you're hoping to pull out of this book, or is it just enjoyment?
It really is just enjoyment. I wanted to read the book with my buddy Chad just to have an accountability partner. And I wanted to make sure that we were both interested and engaged in a book, and we could both learn from it. So it was suggested on a Joe Rogan podcast, of course. I kind of sound a little obsessed now thinking about it.
It's extremely popular, I mean, his podcast is one of the largest, if not the largest podcast in the world. So it carries a lot of weight. And so when someone's like, oh, well, I heard it on, it's like you bring up any subject, and if someone's like, oh, well, I saw that in a movie. Well, of course you did, because movies are extremely popular. So I'm sure that there's a segment of the population that don't like them, but
yeah,
whatever.
That's true. Yeah, I got a little too obsessed. Probably every time I listen to an episode, he's always bringing up kind of the same few subjects, like always talking about AI.
Yeah,
and every interview that he does, he talks about AI, and I'm kind of over it now. I just want to ignore AI completely. But
it's not AI.
Coming.
It's not true AI. That's the thing. That's what people miss. It's not true AI. What it actually is a program that is able to do Google searches very fast. That's essentially what it is. True AI is not a thing yet. That's how I see it. However, something I came across, I sent this reel to Nan. It was on Instagram. It's a podcast that was created. It was a male host and a female host, and they created this podcast, and the hosts are AI.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 100% AI. And they're creating episodes talking about whatever, until the creator tells the hosts that they are AI and that they are shutting the podcast down, and the two hosts have a freaking existential crisis.
What?
Not realizing that they were AI the entire time,
Oh.
and then having this thrust upon them, and they're like,
Oh my goodness.
our existence is ending, and they're like, freaking,
Have you ever heard of the double slit experiment?
no.
So it basically talks about how they can project light through two slits, and they create a pattern essentially. But once the light particles are viewed by a human or an object or a measurement tool, the patterns change.
Okay.
Can't get into all of it because I don't know enough
Yeah,
about
no,
it
that's
to
fair.
give you facts.
No.
But
I think now that you bring it up, I think I understand it now.
it talks. Yeah, it kind
heard
of
of
comes from the whole, existence is a simulation theory and all that.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, how many NPCs have you seen today?
Well, you was one.
Yeah, and then the next realization is, wait a second, am I an
Right?
NPC?
He is your spawn point.
If you guys didn't hear that, baby girl chimed in the background, said that Jaden, I am Jaden's spawn point. That's
That's a little
really
awkward.
weird. Yeah, that's pretty weird.
In context of video games, eventually I'll respawn.
How does that work?
Well, we're getting there, I guess.
So what's next on the table for Jaden?
Well, there's a story that I remember you telling that I almost think of as like there's no way that happened. So I want to ask you a question. I want to see if you bring up that story.
Ooh.
Okay.
You're gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah. Was there a pivotal moment for you that made you decide that you always wanted to carry a gun with you?
Oh, yeah. It's. I'm not sure which story you've heard. There's a number of different things.
Yeah.
But realistically, there was basically how Coriana was conceived.
Oh.
Which is she was born because at the time her mom and I were separated geographically because of the army.
Oh, right.
And the situation was I was at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. Amber was headed to Fort Campbell, and she had just got to Fort Campbell, and found out that we got word that her sister had been killed
Wow, yeah.
in a mass shooting in southern Alabama, and her sister was named Andrea, and she was holding her daughter Corinne when she was shot in the doorway. The round went through Andrea and also went through Corinne, killing them both almost instantly. We hadn't, Amber and I hadn't been around each other. We finally get back together after several months, and it's unfortunately because of this horrendous event. And just so happened that was also the same week that Coriana was conceived, so awkward, I'm sure, right?
Wow.
As I'm looking at Coriana's face all scrunched up. But about 6 weeks later, I get a phone call from Amber, and she's like, "Hey, or what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just driving to breakfast." It was a weekend. It was Saturday morning, and I was on I-95 driving between Aberdeen Proving Grounds and Aberdeen, the city. And we decided that the guys that I was with decided we wanted to go like Cracker Barrel or something to eat, which is Victoria's favorite place to eat.
Oh,
which
that's the
as
first
soon as I said
thought.
it, I saw you turn your head.
Yeah.
So Amber calls me. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm driving to breakfast." She goes, I need you to pull over." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What's up?" So I pull over, and she's like, "I need to talk to you about something." I was like, "Okay, what's up?" She's like, "I'm pregnant." And I was like, "Oh my, congratulations. Oh, that's yay, you know."
Mhm.
And as I'm pulled on the side of the road on I-95, a freaking cop comes walking up and taps on my window.
Oh my
So I'm like
goodness.
rolling down the window. It's pouring down rain.
Oh geez.
Yeah, all right. And he's like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to pull over and take this phone call. I just found out I'm going to be a dad again, you know." And he's like, "Oh, okay, great, congratulations. Just be safe. I'll get out of your hair and everything." So, so that happened. Coriana was born, got out of the army, came home to Wichita, and that's when I linked back up with my best friend Drew,
Mm-hmm.
and he started telling me about how things have changed since I'd been gone from Kansas, and kind of the different things that I can now do. I can carry a firearm, and obviously with Coriana's situation, well, let me back up. And that's how Coriana got her name.
Right.
Corinne and Andrea,
Right.
we put it together, Coriana. So we honored the death of Andrea and Corinne by naming our daughter after her. And the irony of it all was the last thing that I remember Andrea asking me was when was Amber and I going to have a kid?
Wow.
Everybody else has kids. When are you guys going to have a kid? And so I was like, "Oh, I don't know. It's Amber didn't really want kids, so
Wow.
whatever." So yeah. So but fast forward to when I got out of the army, came back to Wichita. Drew kind of chimed in, and there was a new law that passed that allowed us to conceal carry without a permit, because we're a constitutional carry state. So you don't have to have a permit. If you cross state lines, it's best to have a permit, so it's have some reciprocity.
Right.
So
right.
But yeah, that's one of several stories I think that kind of contributed to it. There was an incident when you were a kid. There was an incident when you were little.
This is the one.
This is the one.
I think this is the one.
The one where I got my ass kicked?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I knew this story existed. I dreamed that I was told the story, but okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
This
it's
is
confirmed.
So we went to the zoo. I was home. I was home from Iraq. This has been in 2003.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you would have been 5.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You would have been 5 because it was October of 03. We went to the zoo here in Manhattan and had a good day, doing our thing. And then it was time to leave. We were done. And started heading out. Sunset Zoo Boulevard, I think is the name of the road.
Yeah, something basic.
At the same time, the high school was getting out as well. So your mom's driving and pull up to the stop sign, and there's traffic. A lot of traffic. College or high school kids, college kids. Nobody knows what they're doing. No one knows how to drive. And someone behind us honks, and the windows are down, and I poke my head out the window and look behind me, and some kid has his head out the passenger window, and he's like, "Yeah, you," talking to me because we
As
were
if
at the stop
you were
sign.
the one driving.
I know, right? We were at the stop sign and we were holding quote unquote holding up traffic. So I'm again, this is 21 years ago. I'm freaking a completely different person.
Yeah,
I'm an asshole. Your mom makes that right-hand turn, and I said, pull over. And she's like, what? And I said, pull over. So she pulls over. I get out of the car as they're passing all the car that yelled at us, mean mugging us the entire time. And I fling a water bottle at their car. It bounces off the hood of their car. So they stop and get out of the car. And at first I thought it was just like two guys. No, it was four dudes. It was four dudes, and there was this big Hispanic guy had gotten out of the back seat, and he was a big dude.
Oh no!
I mean, he was probably at least 6 foot, probably 220. I mean, compared to me, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And he just walks up to me and 4 times just freaking cold cocks me right in the eye.
My goodness!
Yeah, punches me. So I'm backing up. Into this like front yard that has a hillside.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like, I didn't lose my footing. I didn't fall down or anything, but I'm like staggering back as this dude is just cold cocking me like 4 times right in the eye. And I was able to kind of push him off. And I remember reaching down to my thigh because I was home in R&R from Iraq.
Right.
I carried a freaking Beretta M9 on my thigh.
My goodness.
So I'm reaching down for my pistol because I now have 4 dudes coming down on me, and one dude's already got 4 punches right in the face.
Let's pause after that one. 4 dudes coming down on him.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
So I push him off, and then I just out of nowhere yell, "What the hell are you guys doing? My kid's in the car." And they, for whatever reason, they all stopped. They just quit what they were doing. The big dude stopped punching me.
Respect.
And I was like, y'all are yelling at us to go. We're not the ones that were holding up traffic. It was all the other vehicles that was holding up traffic. You guys are yelling at us. I got my kid in the car. You're coming up here trying to, punching me in the face,
Just a crazy series.
It was
events.
a whole, crazy serious events. And I relive that incident time and time again. How would I have done things differently? Well, number one, I would have never thrown that water bottle at him.
Yeah.
I would have never pulled over. If the same scenario happened today, and I'm sure Nan can contest to this, I just would have probably just looked at him and just been like, okay, guy, and just give him a thumbs up, and just that would be the end of it. But yeah, like I said, back then, 20 years ago, I was a different person.
Yeah. No.
And hey, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. But the thing about it, like if I was put into that exact same situation where I have 4 people who intend to do me harm, because all 4 of them were like trying to, I don't know, they were approaching me in a threatening manner, right? That is, in legal terms, if I feel threatened, then that is called a disparity of force. 4 men coming towards me who intend to do me harm gives me the legal right to defend myself by any means necessary. And in the state of Kansas, that means lethal force.
Wow.
Because 4 against 1 is a disparity of force that permits me to stand my ground. Now, is that the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to automatically pull a firearm and potentially end someone's life? That's a situational.
It is tough, the blood gets going. You're under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my head, you have a gun in that situation and you point it up. right? Like, hey, I can use this,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't have to be aimed at any or even threatened. Just
Right.
the fact, hey, don't push it any further
Right.
could end the whole situation.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I wouldn't point it up at all, because if for whatever reason that firearm does go off, what goes up must come down, right?
That's true.
So another option, if that's what you're thinking, is you can draw it and still just kind of have it drawn at the low ready, pointed down.
Gotcha.
Just the sight of a firearm should diffuse any type of situations.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what you were going for. So I understood that. Just some techniques from the various classes that I've been through on self-defense. So the next aspect is remove yourself from that situation as best you can, right? Because even though I carry a firearm on a daily basis, I have no intention on getting in a fight.
Yeah. None.
We had a podcast just a couple of episodes ago, and it was Lindsay from LKD Communications, and she made a comment that if people would remove their egos from most of all situations, life would be a lot better. You know, if you're in a bar and you bump into somebody, you spill their drink, and they get upset, just remove your ego from the situation and just be like, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. Let me go get you another one. What are you drinking?" You know, even if it wasn't your fault. Here's another funny story. Funny story for me from Aggieville. I got a beer dumped on me.
Really?
Yeah, like straight up poured over my head.
Wow.
So here's the story. Freaking I'm with my roommate, Brendan.
Yeah.
You remember him? Yep. So,
interesting fact.
Yeah.
I had poop problems as a kid. Brendan's hot girlfriend ended up being the nurse to my poop doctor. Rather embarrassing.
Oh, was it really?
Continue.
That's hilarious.
Somehow she was the nurse to my poop doctor who was in Kansas City, like a specialty poop doctor, specializing.
I don't think that is the actual term for that doctor, but
definitely,
yeah,
definitely the correct term.
So,
Dr. Poop Man, that's what I called him.
So, you lost my train of thought.
I'm so sorry.
Brendan and I went out to Aggieville, which is the little bar district here in town, and we went to Rusty's. Is it Rusty's? Yeah, Rusty's. Yeah. Rusty's, and so they have this big kind of front patio area, and they have like park benches that are out there, and so I went in, I got a beer, came out. Brendan's talking to his football training buddies because he was a sports medicine guy.
Oh yeah,
and so he's talking to his the sport trainers that are part of the football team and all that type of jazz. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to hang out on my own. Well, I didn't sit down on a park bench. I sat like on the table portion of the park bench, right?
Okay.
And as I'm like wiggling myself onto the table, I knock over some like Solo cups, you know, no big deal. I mean, there's just several of them, and you know, I spilled a drink. This freaking what do they call it? Dependopotamus, a dependent, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So a overweight freaking dependent
Gotcha.
comes walking up and was like, "You just spilled my drink," and I'm like, "Okay, sorry." And that's all I said.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, you need to buy me another one." And I'm like, "No. First off, I don't understand why you would leave your drink unattended. There was no one around here, and I just came walking up here and sat down, and now you're like coming after me about a drink that
Like-
you left unattended.
Table could have wobbled. What do you?
I mean, not even that
knows
though.
what happened?
It's for you and I, it's probably a little bit more difficult to understand, but maybe looking at your girlfriend, would you ever leave your open solo cup drink unattended at a bar?
Yeah,
No,
that part.
no, you wouldn't. Not ever. But in this situation, it was. And so we're kind of going back and forth about, me buying her a new drink. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen because frankly, I'm broke. I don't have any money. And this dude comes walking up and he starts butting his nose into the situation as well, because we're like yelling at each other. And I was like, look, man, I finally was looking at this lady. I was like, look, you don't have to be a bitch about it. And the guy's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I'm her boyfriend. And I was like, oh, so then you already know.
Oh, no. Oh,
so then she reaches over, grabs his drink, and then pours it over me. Well, apparently I had been making so much noise in this argument that Brendan had turned around and was watching everything go down. And as soon as he saw the drink get poured over my head, I step off of the park bench and basically swole up, getting ready to go to town. And he comes walking over and just gives me a big old bear hug and walks me away. He's like, come on, dude, come on.
Yeah.
And it was actually a godsend, because had I gotten into that fight, I would have gotten in trouble. I probably would have been arrested, and I would have been kicked out of ROTC, and I never would have became an officer.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Coriana would have never been born.
yeah, that's
like dead serious.
That one little thing, man. Freaking. So thanks, Brendan, for saving my, my officer career.
Brendan saved Mark's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
saved Coriana's life.
Yeah, and it's so that was another situation where things could have gone sideways, but I at that point I was starting to become a little bit softer as far as like my personality goes. Not soft as like weak, but just a little bit more chill, a little bit.
It's easier once you can understand, like, there's more perspectives than one.
Right.
You were just talking about taking your ego out of things, and that's a big thing in the Carl Jung book that he talks about is the ego and the conscious and the unconscious, and how to understand it. He gets a lot of his knowledge from his dreams. So he interprets his dreams, and he gives a real vivid description in the books or in the book about his dreams and stuff like that. Really gets real deep into it, talking about almost going down like stories on a building.
Yeah.
He talks about one story of the building being almost medieval, and then you go down another story and you're almost in like a well,
right?
And he just keeps going deeper, and it's just talking about how deep he goes into the unconscious and how.
So one of the guys that I listen to for my political podcasting stuff is so obviously I listen to a lot of different political podcasts to get various different sides.
Right.
You have your ultra conservative, you got your middle of the road right, you have your middle of the road left, and then you got your very left. And I don't listen to very left stuff a lot, but I will catch clips.
You just have to go to Twitter.
Yeah, I know, right?
Or X.
Freaking cesspool. But Jimmy Dore is one of the guys that I watch or listen to on YouTube in his podcast, and he's now kind of center left. He used to be far right. He used to be part of the Young Turks, and then he broke away from them disagreement of some sort and moved center left. But with me saying all of that, the reason why I listen to him is he talks about dreams all the time. He goes to a dream therapist.
That's awesome.
That this therapist will sit down and talk to him about his dreams. He journals every single day.
Wow.
He writes down every single dream that he has. Interesting thing about it, though, was he never recalled ever having a dream until he stopped smoking weed. Because he was a big pothead. He's a California guy. He's a big pothead.
Yep.
And I didn't know this, that freaking THC actually inhibits your ability to dream.
That I did just learn this a couple months ago. I actually was asking my girlfriend Victoria about some of her dreams to see if she could get anything out of her unconscious, to see if she could figure out some things she was going through. And I was telling her, like I wish I could go deep into my dreams, but currently I do not.
You don't have many dreams? Is that what you're saying?
I just you don't sleep very often.
You don't, got a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. I wake up over the night.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. Talk about dreams.
So we were just saying that one of the guys that I listen to, as Victoria comes back into the room here, to recap with her, is that one of the guys I listen to is kind of podcasty. He journals his dreams every single day. Every morning he gets up and journals exactly what happened in the dream. And then he takes that information to his therapist and they break down the reasons why he's dreaming certain ways. Right. So, the whole freaking, I had a dream and I was walking through school completely naked. And people are like, well, that's because you have a lot of anxiety. Obviously, you don't want to be naked in front of other people. That's a very anxious, anxiety-ridden feeling that you would have. So you dream in those terms. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's books that are out there that Jimmy Dore has talked about that helps describe dreams and helps describe like certain characters that you come across within your dreams and what they mean and stuff like that. No, it's not. We got the other peanut gallery back here talking about the dream therapy is crap. But
if you get
you have
the
a
right
in dream therapy,
about dreams meaning something. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I don't know. I'm not going down that at all. So, but no one can hear what you're saying.
How many pesticides were in that tobacco? Maybe it's not just a cigar.
So
how many bugs are inside the tobacco of the, like it's not always just a cigar.
Did you know that there's a lot of bugs inside of ramen noodles? Have you seen this?
Well, apparently we're going to have to throw ramen noodles away too.
I just ate some today.
Yeah. You put baby girl, take ramen noodles, take a package of ramen noodles to school and go into like one of your science classes and then put it underneath a microscope and you'll see all the mites that are inside there.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go to
Oh yeah, they're like it's like creating acid in people's stomachs and like going through their stomachs or something, like eating their intestines. It's like it literally a set of like.
What are we talking about?
A parasite.
In ramen noodles.
I think 5 children. 5 children.
Well, I don't know why children. I don't know why children are eating ramen noodles. But,
yeah, that is a good point. Well, diabetes are killing a lot of children too. That is also true.
So, she said, yeah, she was saying that In-N-Out has killed kids too.
I mean, not only bugs. Have you heard the big discrepancy about microplastics?
Oh yeah, I just learned about that like a few months ago.
Inside of,
or about a month ago,
like pretty much all McDonald's foods.
Well,
has
what's funny, it's everything. Yeah, it's everything. They tried to do several different experiments regarding microplastics and how they affect people, and they couldn't even get a
They're in your balls.
they couldn't even get a what do you call it, a control group of people, because everybody has microplastics in them now. So yeah, there's no way to
That's
really test
goodness.
how they affect people for good or bad, because it's injected itself in everything.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so that's my little shindig for everybody, is to stop eating Doritos, as I look sideways over at Nan.
Red Dye 40 is
And
going crazy too.
Freaking grow your own food,
Mhm.
harvest your own meat, and try to stay away from as much processed food as possible.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is
It's
hard.
hard.
It's extremely hard.
They've literally they've trapped the middle and lower classes into just feeding money into the hospitals, into medical bills, into diabetes treatments,
coming out.
and I mean, you can even break it down into like the red dye 40s. I was just saying, those are proven to cause behavioral problems in children. Who's to say that's not also leading to some of the mental issues and mental misunderstandings about gender as well. We can pass by that one. I don't want to talk too much about that.
That's fine.
That's too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it runs everybody differently, so we can definitely move past that. But the the interesting thing is listening to you talk about the aspects of the medical industrial complex, right? So you always hear like the military industrial complex. Well, there's now a medical industrial complex, right? That is not only doctors who are being paid to prescribe certain drugs, to overprescribe certain drugs, who are getting compensated in certain ways to prescribe drugs, and it's a bitter pill for me to swallow, because I have friends who are doctors, and I'm sure that I want to believe that they're not those types of doctors, but there are tons of doctors out there that are like that.
And some are just, ignorant. You can be as smart as you can be Einstein, but if the government is telling you something that you cannot deny or reject with any of your own proof, and you just got to go with it or you're fired, I mean, you're in a tough spot whether you try to prove or disprove it. I mean, that goes into the whole COVID issues and everything like that. Like,
and we had doctors that came out very early that was saying that, like Fauci is a fraud. And there was a female doctor that had worked under him in some capacity, and basically did all of the work that eventually he quote unquote stole and made him famous. And it was all her work. And the next thing you know, she's getting basically canceled because she was like, hey, this COVID thing is not as big as you think it is. It's not as deadly as you think it is. It's deadly for some people, but here's the actual things. And the next thing you know, she's disappeared. I don't think she's dead, but I haven't heard anything from her since 2020, So, so there's that aspect. Then to couple that, you did have, of course, Big Pharma, well, they have tons of incentives for people to be sick on a regular basis, because that means that they can create more medications to then send to more doctors and give kickbacks to doctors. I mean, why does Pfizer have to, why do they have to sponsor commercials and commercial breaks for CNN?
I don't know. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, and I mean, Aaron Rodgers was clowning on Travis Kelce about being the Pfizer boy.
Yeah,
he's the Pfizer boy. Oh man,
he really stuck to him too. That's hilarious.
Money talks. So you pay me $500,000 to do a commercial, I'll probably do it too.
Everybody has their price.
Mm-hmm.
Some are a lot cheaper than others.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So,
$5 sake.
I mean, I'm not so morally superior to say that at some point, if someone came walking up to me and was like, "Hey, that 40 acres that you have in Wyoming, what if I just turned it into like, I don't know, 360 acres? What if I just gave you a square mile of property with a really nice barnuminium on it? How would that sound? You know?"
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, oh, that could go a long way. I mean, that's,
Yep.
you know, that's it's not necessarily generational type of wealth, but it's
throw in a couple solar panels and you got a deal.
But at the very least, you know, freaking, you know, square mile of property in a pretty nice area of Wyoming. And then, you know, when I pass on, that can go to you and the daughter, you know, Coriana, and you guys then could either figure out if you want to live on it or sell it off. And if you sell it off, that's money that you can carry on with you. You know, that's somewhat generational, but
and then I give that land to my cat and cattle roam on the land.
I mean, but obviously that someone offering that had better be asking me to do something.
Yes.
You know,
right.
Something really against my beliefs.
Well, I mean, or just money to promote in general, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
you're saying though to do a Pfizer commercial.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
To go against my, I will never do a commercial for, here's a great example. Today I got DMs on X, formerly Twitter, about some dude wanting me to promote his like AI translation software, and he was set to pay me like $2,000 to do one video.
Wow.
And I'm like, I mean, $2,000.
Better be one of your ammo review videos.
Yeah, or something.
Those are the one that gets views.
I know, right?
Yep.
But I told him, I was like, you know, I just said no. I mean, that it's not going to mesh well with my audience. And he's like, oh, no, you don't understand. I just need you to get on the phone with me. We can have a conversation on the phone. And he's talking about this like Chat GPT translation software. And in his DMs, he's telling me, I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. English is not my first language.
Jeez.
But now you're trying to promote freaking translation software.
You could have just put it in the translator. Oh my goodness.
I was like, I eventually was like, please stop talking to me.
Smells
I
fishy.
I literally typed, please stop talking to me to the dude. But yeah, I mean, there's those types of things that I would never do. I'm not going to do something like that because obviously, the people who tune into my YouTube channel, they'd see right through that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, one of my friends, Clayco, he does ads on his channel, but those ads are specific to his company, Third Pin Threads. So he's got his own merch company, and he says in his videos, I'm never going to do an ad read for a ball sack razor, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that either. He's like, instead, you know, support my company, Third Pin Threads, go buy you some merch. You know, it's fully funded by us, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about it as well, is I don't want to, if I do an ad, like the video that I'm working on today, I do kind of an ad read, but it's not necessarily an ad read. Another YouTuber's channel got fully demonetized by YouTube. His channel is called Skinny Medic, and he does videos about medical emergencies, right? Whether it be a defensive shooting and what happened, he does a breakdown of it, and then talks about the medical aspect of it, or there's a car wreck, and
Things that
someone's
are
hurt.
actually helpful.
Yeah, exactly. He talks about, he shows like police cam footage of, someone getting a tourniquet put on and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Those types of,
Wow.
so definitely viewer discretion advised. That there's blood and stuff, but at the same time, it's still educational. And apparently YouTube didn't like that. And so his channel is completely monetized. But my quote unquote ad read is, hey, Skinny Medic, channel's been demonetized. Head on over to his company, Medical Gear Outfitters, and show him some love, man. Buy like a tourniquet or buy a chest seal or some bandages or maybe even a kit,
Yeah.
Throw him 40, 50, 60 bucks,
a thumbs up or something.
Yeah,
like anything.
So those are the type of things that I would prefer to do,
Yeah.
That's going to help support my friends.
Yeah, and eventually help support human lives.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the monetization shenanigans. So what else? You got a list of questions there? What do you got?
Oh no, I just had some ideas. I threw me for a loop. I thought Jefe was going to be here.
And he's really good about asking questions because he's kind of got the gift of gab.
Mm-hmm.
He unfortunately had to stay home with the kid tonight because Mama Bear was out with the girls, I guess, and needed
no
she just needed a break, and have a girls' night out.
I get that.
And much needed because she's got another one on the way.
Oh,
I think probably just so just here soon.
Wow.
So obviously huge congrats to them, but so he didn't think he was going to make it, which is cool. But anyway,
I had one more question. We can probably end it here after
whatever.
this, whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a big reason why you reserve your right to the Second Amendment is your love for your family.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of brings me to a question. What do you appreciate most out of fatherhood? What have you found that has improved your life, or kind of giving you a silver lining around things, or what's been has there been like a pivot for you or anything that
absolutely
transformation or anything?
When you were born, I was exceptionally young,
Yeah.
I was 20 years old when you were born.
I kind of put myself in that kind of mind frame every chance I get. Like, I can't imagine being my age with a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Insane.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
Obviously I didn't plan on that, but one of the things that I take pride in, which may be a little selfish, is I was the first to hold you. I was the first to hold Coriana too.
Oh, wow.
Because you both were born via C-section.
Yeah.
So, your mom's strapped down.
Yeah.
Because they've got her juiced up, pretty good. And they're cutting through skin and abs and everything else, skin and muscle and everything to get through, to pull you out. And it's so funny because, you and your sister were both breech. Both had freaking umbilical cord wrapped around your neck. You had your leg up by your ear. Yeah, you were all twisted and everything.
I still sleep like that to this day. To this day.
So
I have a girlfriend here to prove it's true.
But fatherhood changes you overnight. When you were born, I changed overnight. I didn't change into the person that I am now,
Right.
but there was a
Right.
switch that was flipped, and you were about 6 months old, and Papa,
Mm-hmm.
your papa, which is your mom's dad, came to me and said, Mark, I didn't know what to expect with you being so young, and how you were going to be able to be a father,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
go to work every day, go to school every day, and still make time to be here,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you and everything. But you're doing a great job, and that really meant a lot, because I didn't really realize what was happening. I was just living in the moment.
Yeah.
I was, like I said, working a full-time job. I was going to school full-time, trying to take care of you, trying to take care of your mom at the same time. And that's what I have found that's carried me. This is extremely long-winded, but that's what's carried me through, is living in the moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to be the best person that you can in that moment. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to get frustrated. There were nights that you just did not want to go to sleep. And here I am trying to rock you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so tense, and my shoulders are wrapped up over my
Oh my
ears. I'm
goodness.
just like, oh, just go to sleep. Oh my God, And so you're going to have those moments. But having kids of your own teaches you so much about yourself, teaches you
Mm.
how patient you can be. And this isn't for every dad. I mean, there's some piece of shit dads out there,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
There are some bad people, but I think that as you becoming a father, I think that you would be a good dad, because
Appreciate that.
I personally believe that you are far more patient as an individual than I am at your age.
Mm.
I was at your age.
Right, right.
Being a father, I guess, really allows you to grow as an individual as well, to look at things a little bit differently. When you were young, I was gung ho about when I got the word that I was going to go to Iraq in 2003. I was like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, dude, I got to go. Job says I got to go.
Yeah.
I'm all gung ho. But I tell you what, freaking some dude knocked on my door right now and said, hey, we've got this thing going on in Israel. We're going to need you to come back onto active duty. I'd be like, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving my kids. I'm not doing that. No. And that's because I, obviously have a completely different worldview. And because of my worldview comes from partly because of being a father.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also comes, partly because of, the deployments that I have had as well. But, you learn how to be exceptionally loving, exceptionally forgiving, and exceptionally patient.
Yeah.
And if you can figure out how to do that, if you can figure out how to do all three of those, you're going to be not only the best dad ever, but you're going to be a amazing human as well. So,
and if anybody else is struggling out there with patience, I was told by an older lady at one of my old jobs that never pray for patience, because God will test you on patience.
ooh,
Pray for strength.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you really need to be tested.
Yeah.
If you really need to be tested, that's okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a
Well,
question?
if you're going to say something, you got to get into the mic.
You got to get all up in there.
So this is Victoria, ladies and gentlemen. This is
Hi.
the boyo's girlfriend. So
I was just gonna say that you did very well at raising Jaden
oh, thank you.
because he's a great guy.
He is a great guy,
He's,
and I'm not going to
he's
take.
awesome.
I can't take full credit for it. I can tell you that 100%.
I know. His mom.
Yeah,
His mom's in
his
there.
mom. He's got a great mom for sure.
Yeah.
And
gammy and everything,
Yeah.
but he's a great guy. And
He,
I think I actually have told him he would be a really great dad.
yeah. No, I think he would.
I am a great dad
Okay, to
to
cat
our
Salem.
cat,
That
Salem.
baby boy.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that again, I have failed you, Anakin. Freaking with the cats. The cats, I
Yes.
can't do cats.
Dull in my heart.
I will say that once I move out to the property in Wyoming, we'll probably have to have a cat or
Mhm.
several cats because, mice and stuff like that. they'll be outdoor cats. So you want to live outdoors in the barn?
Make sure they have a little place inside.
Oh my goodness.
Playhouse so they can warm up in the wintertime.
But yeah, no. You've had an awesome family to raise you.
Absolutely. I've
Um,
been most definitely blessed. That is for sure, with loving parents.
Yep.
Both mom and dad. So
Yep.
and stepmom, stepdad
yeah,
too.
mhm. Yeah,
So
for sure.
many, a lot of blessings, honestly. A lot of different worldviews too
Mhm.
that I've encountered. And I think that does really formulate my own worldview of understanding and being empathetic towards other people, and really taking on other people's perspectives and being able to see different sides of the same story.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's been the biggest thing, especially I would say probably in the I will say, and I hope that you don't take this the wrong way, but when Coriana was born,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I really chilled out.
Really?
Yeah. And I was talking to a friend who is, so I'd like to say that they're friends, but the Kalash Queen and JMac Customs, they're a company that does like furniture for rifles, AKs and ARs and stuff like that.
Okay.
They're an aftermarket company. Good people. Well, they're expecting their first child, and they're going to have a baby girl.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
I told them,
Congrats.
yeah, I told them that hey, freaking. When I had my son, that changed me, but when I also had my daughter, that really chilled me out.
That I think that is pretty common for dads, is like the daughter's the one that melts your heart.
Yeah.
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 And it chilled me out because when you were a kid, I could roughhouse with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
That
is true.
I can remember I used to punch you all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
And for those you people out there,
Right
in the shoulder,
face.
no, in the shoulder, just kind of like a little love tap, just toughen you up, boy, But I can remember walking and we were in Walmart, and I had kind of give you a little love tap in the shoulder, and then I was walking down the aisle, and you wound up and freaking punched me right in the kidney, which was about freaking eye level for you at that time.
Right.
And let me tell you, I was not expecting it, and it hurt so bad. And I went down on one knee, and freaking Amber was like, "What happened?" I was like, he got me right in the kidney. And she stopped and she looked at you and she's like, that's what you get. That's what you get. And I think that was probably one of the last times I ever slugged you.
I don't remember I don't know if I remember that exact moment, but I can almost remember the feeling of being like, oh, he's getting it this time.
Yeah.
Just I can almost you describing it, I can almost envision my mentality at that point.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Yeah.
Not getting away with it.
But then when Coriana was born, I couldn't do that. There's no roughhousing with her.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know. You know how much she used to punch me in the car? She is the one that started all those car travel fights. She started them all.
I can remember. See, okay, so there's 11-year gap between both of these kids, and I can remember turning around and I hated being like this, but I was turning around. I'm like, Jaden, you are 16 years old. Deal with the problem, okay? Deal with it. So you have to get into the mic. It's not going to hear you.
So not to out my sister or anything, but my niece, my oldest niece is like 7 years older than my youngest niece, and she would hit back and complain and stuff, and my sister would just pretty much say the same thing. It's just like, deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, she's just a kid. But I don't know, I feel differently. Only because, like, you shouldn't be okay with that, honestly.
Well, you also have to understand from a parent's perspective.
Yeah.
Look, I'm driving a vehicle down the road, right?
So driving a vehicle, that's valid.
I don't have time to deal with what's going on back there. Right? You're the older one, right? There was another time there. I don't remember what it was that you guys got into. You guys were arguing about something, and this is when Amber was deployed. So you would have been like a senior in high school, and I had lost all focus. I couldn't concentrate on anything. All I could hear was the two of you bickering back and forth. And I yelled at you guys to come into the bedroom. And I was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I don't care what's going on. You both are alive. No one's hurt. There's no blood. Stop arguing. Jaden, you are freaking almost 18 years old. Coriana, she would have been what, 7? I was like, you're 7 years old. I am done with this. All right. You can't, there's no reason for you guys to be freaking arguing. Knock it off. And both of you were just stone cold staring at me, just like, what just,
no.
and then obviously no one was there to hear the volume of my voice. I'm not going to yell in the mic right now, but the volume, I was screaming at the top of my lungs at these two, and they were just like, I'm pretty sure that both of them were like, I've never seen Dad like this.
I will say there was one time when we were on the Disney World trip and Coriana was hitting Jaden, and I was like, stop. Like, I even told okay, but I used to tell my niece, because my niece would hit me. I'm sorry to overtake. I'm sorry, but my niece would hit me too, and I would tell her, like, once you get into middle school, you're gonna be dealing with like some mean kids, so you better be careful.
Yeah,
with who you hit.
Mm-hmm.
I warned her, and after that, she stopped hitting me.
Yeah,
it's like, nope.
That is a good point to put a boundary on it.
Yeah.
I was never smart enough to put the boundary there.
So hold on, but let's back up here. You said that Coriana would start it. She would hit you, like how would she, like, backhand you?
She would just kind of.
Yeah. Sometimes it'd be like a slap. She still does it. I promise you. She still does it.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing.
It is loving.
That's the thing.
I guess.
That's the thing with like Nan's daughter, Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
She is, everybody you talk to her, anyone who knows her will say that she is just the most lovable, kind-hearted, little girl that they've ever met. They've always said that about Coriana too.
Yeah.
That she is just the most pure heart, lovable, good kid and everything. And I even told Nan, I was like, look, you gotta watch that. You've got to watch that, because they're going to find out. They're going to hear it.
They're buttering. They're
buttered
up.
Oh yeah. They're going to hear it. Right. And it's not just girls either. The boys will hear it too. And they'll use it against you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, Nan's, she's learning the hard way. Yeah. Being used against her.
A little sass.
Yeah. Well, it's not even sass. It's like, I didn't do anything. And everyone's like, oh, of course you didn't.
No.
Of course you didn't. Why would you ever do anything bad? Of course you didn't.
Oh,
You know?
no.
So it's like it's funny to hear this now because like the Disney trip, right? And you're saying that Coriana would hit him, right? Well, Coriana wouldn't. She wouldn't do that. She's such a sweet little girl. She would never pick a fight with her 11-year older brother.
She is a good thing.
I mean, in her defense, it was David versus Goliath every day. You know, like.
But I will admit, maybe I probably shouldn't have said anything because I just kind of was new to the family anyway.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
But,
Yeah.
The Disney trip was early on in our relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted her to know, like, it's not okay. Okay, sorry. I was just gonna say that it's not okay for others to hit others, especially siblings.
I don't know. There's
yeah.
But now looking back, it was just in like a. It was just like a, like ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's a joke.
But-
Yeah.
But
that-
It could piss off the wrong person.
you don't understand what him and his brother did to each other,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Oh,
They-
I know what me and my brother have done to each other.
They
You-
were
you ever-
bloody and
You
bruised.
ever
and-
get stabbed in the head with a knife?
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Well, my brother chased me around the
No.
house, threatening to kill me.
All right, so so my brother's a great dude. All right, I love my brother, but we had some hardcore sibling fights. I remember my dad picked us up for the weekend, and I had this bandage right here on the side of my head, and my dad's like, well, what's that? Why you got a Band-Aid right there? And I was like, oh, I fell down the stairs or whatever, the typical like abused lie, abused person lie, right? But what actually had happened was my brother and I had gotten into a fight, and I think it derived from, we had a cat, right? We had a Siamese cat. For whatever, don't ask me why, but the cat's name was Tuffy.
That's cute.
I don't know why the cat was named Tuffy, but Siamese cat. And my mom had this like hygiene attaché. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's basically like a miniature suitcase that was like a hygiene kit, right?
Okay.
But it was like, the size of a shoebox, a little bit larger than a shoebox. Uncle Phil would take that cat and put it inside that, and then shut the lid, and then taunt me and be like, the cat's going to suffocate. The cat's going to suffocate. I'm just like, and I like, this is probably one of the reasons why I hate cats now, is because I was like madly in love with that cat. That was my cat. Right. So I'm like trying to get after the cat, and he's like pushing me away, right? And obviously Uncle Phil, he's 3 years older than me, so
the cat's just being shaken up in the,
That poor cat.
The poor cat.
Uncle Phil.
So
why?
then next thing you know, we get into a fist fight. We're actually going at it, like throwing blows and everything, and he
As
like
he
wrestles me down and whatever, and then he jumps up and he runs into the kitchen. I have no idea what he's doing. He comes back out. Right. And I'm like waiting on him, getting ready to defend myself. He comes running back out with a freaking steak knife in his hand. Right. And then, so I'm like grabbing his wrist to control the knife away from me. And then he wrestles me down onto the ground, and he like comes down with the knife, like at my head. And I'm like holding his arm, my forearms against his forearm, holding it. It's like straight up from a movie.
like lightsabers, almost like.
Yeah, right. It's
How
like,
old were you guys?
I would have been like 6th or 7th grade.
You were just a baby.
Yeah. So Uncle Phil, he would have been, freshman. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, he's older?
Yeah. He's 2 years, 363 days older than me.
In
I
2
thought
days.
he was younger.
What? No,
Yeah.
no.
Mm-mm.
So, but anyway, I'm like holding his arm back with my arm, and then my arm gives out, and the knife comes down and stabs me in the side of the head.
That's
How far deep?
insane.
I don't remember. I mean, it wasn't much. It wasn't it wasn't hardly anything. It was ready for it, just the tip.
Jeez.
But
Just the
it was
tip.
enough, obviously, to cut me open. It was right by the temple. It was like right here.
Jeez.
And so, and I was like, had blood all run down and everything. And then he was scared, he was like, oh shit. He didn't really mean to do it. I'm not trying to defend him or anything. It's kind of a dick move, but he was scared because he's like, oh crap, I hurt my little brother. Right.
Yeah.
So there was that instance. Another time, it was probably about a year later. We went on a family trip to Colorado, to Fort Collins, Colorado. So it was Aunt Fia, Regina, me and Phil,
Mm-hmm.
and then Dad and Janet. All 6 of us went out to Fort Collins, Colorado. It was a really cool trip. We went out there we went for an entire week. It's like one of the longest vacations I'd ever been on. Right.
That's
We're
awesome.
like outside of the state of Kansas. And the very first day we get to the cabin that we're renting, there's like this mountain behind us. And Phil and I look at each other and it's like, you want to climb it? And he's like, yeah, I want to climb it. We're a bunch of freaking flat
It's
earth,
like 30
freaking
miles
Kansas.
away.
No. It was like straight up right behind the cabin, right?
Oh, wow.
And we think, oh my goodness, there's this big mountain. It's just like a hill, right? It's like a steep hill. So we look at Dad and we're like, hey, can we climb the mountain? And he was like, yeah, just be careful,
Dirt
whatever.
pile
Yeah,
over there.
exactly. So we start heading up this mountain. We get, I don't know, 100 yards, 200 yards up this hill. And it just keeps going. And it's like all of these false peaks that we're like,
oh my goodness.
and we're like, we finally just look at each other. It's like, this is not ending. This is endless. I can't do this anymore. And of course, you're at like 6,000 feet. So you're not used to that.
Oh
you're
my
like huffing
goodness.
and
Yeah,
puffing
you're
and everything.
gonna pass out.
So we end up doing all the tourist things. We went whitewater rafting and all that type of stuff.
That's
The very last night that we were there, I decided I wanted to go to bed early. I mean, it was like 9:00 or something like that, 9:30.
Yeah.
But I was feeling kind of tired. I knew that we were going to be in the car ride all the way home the next day. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go head to bed. So Phil and I were basically sleeping in the kind of apartment above the garage. It was a detached garage, and they had like an apartment above it, and that's where we were.
Okay.
That's where we stayed. So I went out there. I got ready for bed. Got into bed. Shut off the light, and started going to sleep. And then I don't know, half an hour later, Phil comes walking in, and turns on the light. Kind of a rude thing to do, and starts banging around, getting undressed or whatever. And then he crawls into bed and he's like, turn out the light. And I'm like,
This fool.
dude, you turn out the light. You're the one that just came. You woke me up. I've been trying to sleep. You woke me up. Well, I was sleeping in the bed right next to the door, which is right by the light switch. He's like, well, you're right by it. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're the one that turned it on.
I do that to her. So I'm like, well, you're closer.
Right? So, but anyway, so he, man, how did it turn out? He got mad, got up, walked over to my bed, like hammer fist me right in the gut, and then walked over and turned out the light. And I like called him a name or something like that, or I started yelling at him. And then he ends up pulling out his butterfly knife and like does the whole freaking movie switch, whatever,
I love doing sound effects.
I know, right? It gets it. And then like slashes it towards me far enough away that obviously he wasn't going to cut me, but like trying to make it seem as if like he's coming after me.
Yeah.
Obviously I have issues with knives, after being stabbed in the head. So here I am. I'm like basically in the verge of tears because I just got hammer fisted right in the gut. And now I've got a dude like coming after me with a knife. So I like jump out of bed and run out and start banging on the door to the cabin. My dad comes out and he's like, "What's wrong? What does he have in his hand?" Freaking 1911. He's got a pistol. He brought a pistol with him because he didn't know who was banging at the door,
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, "What is it? What is it?" And I'm like, "Phil just pulled a knife on me." And he was like, "Come inside." And oh my God, after that, that was a night.
Jaden, you thought you had it bad with Coriana hitting you. I only been my brother would like push my eyeballs in with his thumb.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
he's like stepped on my back and like attacked me and stuff, but never to that extent. But he's also a crackhead, so I'm kind of like fearing for my life every day.
I will say that with Coriana like smacking you, I had my fair share where I did that too, right? So
it's a sibling thing.
Uncle Phil had one of his best friends come over, and it was like 7:00 in the morning on a Saturday, and I was ready to get up and start watching cartoons and stuff like that, but no one else was getting up. And so one of the things that my brother and I watched as we were kids when we were growing up was wrestling.
Yeah.
Like WWF, right?
Yeah.
And we loved freaking Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and everything. Well, I got tired of everybody like being in bed. So I like ran into the bedroom and jumped and landed like a people's elbow on whoever was sleeping in my bed, because I had to sleep on the couch because Phil's friend was over who got to sleep in my bed.
What?
So I come down with an elbow on this dude. I don't even remember his name. And he got so mad that I ran out of the room and ran back into the living room. He got mad. He got up. He walked into the living room. He like threw me down on the ground and just freaking punched the living crap out of me.
Oh my
like
goodness.
Right in the face. Like he was like holding me down with one hand on my chest and just freaking rained down a punch right in my face.
Goodness.
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't mess with either one of them anymore ever, but again, I did my little mischief as well.
Phil's pretty scrawny though. How did that?
Well, he was 3 years older than me. You could be scrawny, but just because you were a skinny dude, you're now a skinny dude that has like a 6-inch advantage on someone else.
Are you scared of him now?
No.
When they do tests on rats, just 10% body weight compared to like 2 different rat males, just 10% body weight additional to one of the males makes them the dominant male automatically, just because they can overpower.
Yeah.
Literally just 10% of weight can decide the dominant force in a fight.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So the reason why I'm no longer my brother beat me up all the time, right? When I was a kid, but
Are you traumatized?
No, not at all.
Really?
No, because there was one instance where I stood my ground, and well, there's actually 2 instances. One, this would have been freshman year, maybe sophomore year. No. This would have been junior year, actually. Yeah, this would have been junior year. No. I take that back. It would have been freshman year. Yep. My freshman year in high school, I started taking Taekwondo, and I got pretty good at it. As a white belt, I went and took 3rd place in sparring at the Kansas State Championships in the yellow belt division. So one step above where I was, I took third place, which was, I mean, okay, cool. But there was an instance where freaking my brother and I got into a fight, and my mom was like, if you guys are going to fight, take it outside. So we took it outside, and he, you know, bowed up on me and was getting ready to throw a punch, and I threw a roundhouse kick and kicked him right in the face.
Damn.
And he had just gotten his
the jaw.
jaw surgery, right?
Oh man.
So
I talk about that to so many people because I went through like 4 or 5 years of braces,
Mhm.
but I'm always like, but my uncle had to get his jaw broken in 3, 4, 5, 6 different spots,
6 places there, yeah.
sewn his mouth shut, and
Mhm.
got a feeding tube. So at least I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But
So he had already had his mouth wired shut for that,
goodness.
but he had it undone, right?
Right.
So it was all everything was done and over with, but his jaw was still kind of tender, right? So yeah, I kicked him right in the face, and it wasn't a hard kick, but you heard the slap, and yeah, he left. That was it. That was the end of the fight.
It fucked him up.
Not really, not too bad, but
How
he was done.
friendly is this podcast?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, you're fine. But that was the end of it. He was done with that fight, and then there was another instance where we got into another argument about something, and we ended up getting into a fight, and I overpowered him, and was able to get a dominant position kind of over him, and was choking him, and basically like was to the point of almost choking him out, and he was like yelling at mom to break us up.
It always ends with the tattletale.
I know, and
somebody's got to be the but that's how it ends.
Yeah,
the tattletale.
And mom was like, no, you started it.
Okay.
And I told him, I was like, don't ever. I remember in that fight, I was like, don't ever mess with me ever again. And that was the last time. That was the last fight we ever had.
I have a question.
Yep.
When you were at practice for Taekwondo, isn't that what you said you did?
Mhm.
Did you ever imagine one of the guys or people as your brother?
No, I didn't ever think of it like that.
like a water boy situation.
I know. Right? Yeah, no, nothing like that at all. Because I mean, in class, one of the things that they did in my school was that it was Taekwondo. This martial art is for defense purposes only, right? It's never an offensive martial art,
right.
So that was just how I thought about things. And to be frankly honest with you, I was still young when I'm in martial arts class. I was like trying to relive some of the like action movies,
Yeah.
from the day, like freaking the Brandon Lee movies, or the whatever Bruce Lee movie that was popular or whatever, so Jean-Claude Van Damme, right, like a kickboxer or Bloodsport, I'm like they gave us free time to punch and kick bags, and here I am like punching and kicking like from scenes of Kickboxer,
Wow.
the movie Kickboxer. Yeah. So I took it serious, but at the same time, it wasn't like, I know now as an adult that like Taekwondo could be a viable martial art, but there are so many other, as we've seen, like through the evolution of the UFC. If you do not have a good grasp of multiple different forms of martial art,
oh yeah,
you're not going to do very well.
You're just a kickboxer. You have no chance.
Yeah, if you're just a kickboxer with no grappling skills, yeah, you're not going to be good. If you're just a grappler with no striking skills, yeah, you're not going to be. You have to know striking, you have to know grappling, you have to know submissions, you have to understand all those things. It's like 3-dimensional, and if you're trying to fight in 2 dimensions, it's probably not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
So, but so we're approaching almost the 2 hour mark, but start wrapping it up. One of the things that I like to do with any type of the guests is kind of pitch it on over to them for like the quote unquote last 30 seconds. Any type of profound, folksy wisdom that you want to instill to the listeners that have made it to this point in the podcast. The floor is yours, as they say.
All right. Well, I don't have too much. Kind of.
I'm putting you on the spot. I know.
Yeah. That was that was out of left field. But love the people around you. Love yourself. Respect the people around you. You don't know what's going on in their life. You can only imagine and show empathy. Just love other people around you.
Yep.
That's all I got. That's all I got today.
That's cool. No, that's good. No, that's perfect. That actually makes me kind of proud to hear you say those things. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, my last 30 seconds is no matter where you're at in your life, kind of just caveating on what you just said is just spend that time, as much as you possibly can with your kids. As you may have figured out in this podcast, there's a lot of time that I was away from you, with military, Korea and Iraq, a lot of field time and stuff like that.
Afghanistan.
So, yeah. So being able to have moments where we can sit down and have chats like this.
Yeah.
This is awesome,
a lot of fun.
And kind of reinforce how much you have grown as a person is pretty awesome.
And you too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. More this way,
no,
more
wide,
wide and tall, right? So, but yeah. So there you go. There's my shindig. There is just spend here's a better analogy to it. Is Coriana is always asking me what she can get me for my birthday or Christmas, and my number one response is time. Time is the most the most cherished commodity there is, because you're never going to get it back. So never forget that. So yeah, there I have it. Victoria,
sounds like we need to make a trip in February.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are always welcome up here.
But what were you gonna say?
I was going to say whatever, if you had anything that you wanted to add to the podcast before we get out of here.
Like Jaden said, be kind. Life is hard.
Yep.
And expensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
For some people, especially our generation.
Yeah.
Pray for those strikers. Tough for them. I guess. I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
You're talking about the port strike?
Port strike, Wichita's air capital. That strike too.
They're
on the way to work, it's been rough.
Yeah, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but we were in an Uber last weekend.
Oh wow.
And the guy works at Textron.
Yeah.
And he was saying that they're getting ready to go on strike. And we're like, oh, well, Drew was with us and he used to work for Textron. But I was waiting for him to chime in. I was really interested to see what he was going to say, but he never chimed in. And the guy was like, well, I work full time and I do Uber full time. He's from Kenya. Here in the United States, working with a green card. Great, works for Textron, wonderful. But he's like, I'm not part of the union and I'm not going to strike. I can't afford to strike,
Right.
And it's like really weird. So yeah, I hope that they can figure that situation out. And then the port strikers, they've delayed their strike until like January 15th. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just in the few days that they did strike has already caused weeks worth of backlog in the number of containers, which is going to adversely hamper supply chains for the next couple of weeks
I
as well.
mean, that should be all it takes for people to understand, like, the manual laborers are the ones that really run the world, not your
Yeah.
government.
Yeah. So,
Okay, I do want to say this is my real thing that I want to say. Always stand up for yourself. I had a rough day,
you did have a rough day.
and I stood up for myself, and it got me nowhere. But just still stand up for yourself.
Well, you can also look back at that and say that you did stand up for yourself, right? So, yeah. So,
And
But-
your feelings matter. Your feelings are validated, even if people don't make it validated.
right on. So there you
Go
go.
off,
Well,
sister.
thanks, Victoria. Jaden, thank you. Appreciate you. Love you.
Love you.
All right. So there you guys have it. There is the Son of the Father podcast, I guess, of this edition. We really do appreciate you guys. If you've made it this far, thank you so very much. You've now gotten to hear a lot of pretty awesome stories about myself and how I raised a wonderful kid, I guess. So
Now everybody knows that I had to go to a special poop doctor. Gotta bring that back.
that's going to be the intro. That segment that I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut
geez.
that from and make it the intro. But really do appreciate you guys staying this long, and we're going to hit and get out of here. A little bit different podcast, I think, but at the same time, this is always a good time. And again, just got to spend that time with your loved ones. So we'll catch you next time, and don't forget to live, laugh, and LARP. Bye, y'all. Peace.